Hello everyone, this is your captain speaking and welcome to my second tutorial slash speed paint on my Zodiac 12. This time I'll be doing Aries. The original model is called Beastman Warrior 2 from Reaper Miniature. I know, it's a very original name. The link for it's going to be in the description. The first step for all of these minis will be to prime them, of course. You should almost never paint a mini without priming it first, so I'll just say it now so I don't have to repeat it every single episode. My first step of painting was to take an even mixture of chaotic red and oak brown and cover all of the areas that were the skin. My paint was a little thin though, so it took a couple of coats to get it to look right. I also wasn't paying too much attention to over the fur because I would be hitting that a different color anyway. While the first coat of the skin was drying, I decided to get a start on the horns, which I wanted to give a flaming look since Aries is a fire sign. I simply based it in lava orange and then let it dry before continuing, and I also started painting the axe. My first attempt didn't look so right, so just ignore it. Just ignore it for now. For the belt and the loincloth, I just basted it in black and planned to highlight it later. The rest of this is just adding an extra layer to the body and the horns, but that's really boring, so I'm just going to skip it. Although, while the second layer of the orange of the horns was still wet, I took some demonic yellow and layered it close to the base of the horns so it would kind of look like curling flames. This, of course, took multiple layers of yellow to get the right amount, but I wanted to have the brightest yellow be at the base of the horns. I decided that I wanted all the fur on the body to be a different color, so I just repainted all of that with a pure chaotic red to give it a warmer body tone. It's hard to see specifically, but it does give it a really good overall look. Oh hey, here's another 10 minutes of me working on that axe that I decided to repaint. The handle of the axe just ended up being pure oak brown because I'm basic that way, but the top of the axe I mixed shining metal into the oak brown and it made a really cool effect. I also did this for some of the accents of the belt and loincloth. So after that all dried, I made a big old mistake. I wanted to make a dark red wash, so I mixed together some of my dark tone that I had and put in some Mephiston red. Don't do that. I just made a thick red glaze. That's a bad idea, so I just wiped it off and just washed them with normal dark tone. Don't make them unless you know what you're doing, because it does not work. Now to redo the axe. It's not that the look that I had didn't look nice, it's just that it's not what I wanted. So to restart it, I just took some sterling mud and put it on the back half of it, and then I put just a base coat of yellow on the blade to reset it. While those were drying, I decided to put some more detail into the horns using some more tone correction with yellow and orange, and then made the tip of the horns a light red. That really gave it some definition. Now it's time to start the highlights. All I did was use the very defined muscles all over the mini as a sort of map to where to put the brightest parts, and I just added increasing amounts of orange into my original skin tone until I was happy with the result. And you can take this as bright as you'd like. I took it a little bit brighter off screen because it was just too much to record, but you can do as much as you want. As for the fur, same basic principle with the lighter highlights being higher up on the mini, and I simply added some orange to the crimson red. Then, just for fun, I took some Administratium Grey, I think is how it's pronounced, and used it to very roughly add some highlights to the axe's metal handle and the accents to the belt. I dry brushed the horns with some orange to give it a little bit more definition, and then I continued my work on the axe. Using orange, yellow, and red, I made some very choppy gradients from the handle to the tip to make it seem red hot. It's kind of hard to explain, but just stab it with a brush a lot and you'll be fine. Now it's finally time for the symbol. I decided to place it on his right arm since that seemed the most readily available place. I didn't want any of their symbols to be on weapons, I wanted to be a part of them. Like before, I made a slightly larger version of it using red, and then made it smaller and more detailed with a coat of orange, oh, my light went out, and then a coat of yellow. And I know I was out of focus, and sorry about that, but I also used orange on the teeth and the eyes, and the highlighting with the yellow. As a fun touch, I also used some bloodletter around the symbol, eyes, mouth, and axe-wielding arm to give it a subtle glow, and the closer to the light source I got, the more layers of glaze I would use, because that's how glazes work. Now that the mini's finished, I can start on the base. My base didn't turn out too well to my liking, but you can easily fix yours up however you like. To start out, I gave it some layers of sterling mud to build up the rocky texture, and I wanted it to make it look like the hooves were causing indents and the lava underneath, so I left the area around the feet particularly shallow. Once the first layer dried, I was able to start applying my lava effects. It's exactly the same as I did in my Leo video, so it's just reds, oranges, and yellows until you're happy with how it looks. I did, however, have a certain issue that came with assembling my mini. Because I bought the metal version, it came with a base with a slot and a metal bar that fits into the slot that attach it. But the slot was a bit too big, so there were holes in the base that I didn't notice until right now. All I did to seal them up was fill them with more sterling mud and wait for it to dry, and then I did my lava stuff. So you'll want to be careful with that. You could also use liquid green stuff or normal rain stuff or anything you want to use to fill in the holes. Or just rebase it. I had to do a lot of layers of orange since it was really thin, but it did work out. I also made sure to paint the hooves orange and yellow as well, just for some added character. So, as you can see, it kinda looks terrible. But from any perspective other than right where the camera is, it looks really good, I swear. But once I added the Mephiston Red to boost the darker lava, I took some more of the orange and dry brushed it around on the rocks to make it look like it was giving off light. In hindsight, I probably should have given the sterling mud a paint job or at least a wash, but it's too late for that now. I highly suggest doing that whenever you use texture paint, but I just decided not to. And that ends my tutorial for Aries. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Here are my links for a small business of miniature commission painting called Eye of the Beholder, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!